Hi, I'm Jeff Schwartz at Schwartz Performance. This is our July update. Well, the Tempest is here, and we just got back from the Good Guys Indy Autocross. It was a double event, and my boy Dale took first place in the Street Machine class both days. In the first event, he had a substantial lead, fending off the likes of Corvettes and so forth with this Pontiac. And the second event, it was a battle between him and Mike King in a 67 Vet with the full RideTech suspension. Incidentally, our Schwartz chassis also come standard with RideTech shock absorbers. So we're just going to do a few maintenance items on it, change oil, check everything out, and get ready for the next event that is coming up soon at Milwaukee Miller Park. This 55 Chevy, we've completed the LS7 transplant. This is making 650 horsepower and runs really nice on the street. We're just doing a few refinements. We got to tweak these hood hinges so the hood opens up just a little bit more and get the cruise control dialed in. This car was a done painted car when it came in, and we just did a few little subtle upgrades. We fabricated this close-off panel to close off the radiator area, and then we put a hood latch with a remote release inside. This engine is a dry sump engine, and we've got the dry sump tank mounted over there. There was really no other spot to put it, a little short on real estate in the engine bay of this 55. This master cylinder is a new billet master cylinder that Bear Brakes makes. And it's really a clean setup. It's hard coat anodized with a black anodized top. Got the dual billet covers for filling the master cylinder front and rear reservoirs. It's a real nice piece that's designed from scratch, and it doesn't really look like your typical cast iron master cylinder. The interior of this 55 Chevy was nicely done in leather. However, the owner wanted to get rid of the double humps that were on the dash of the 55, so we filled in the other one and then fabricated a new instrument area here with just one hump, and it's larger so you can fit most of your gauges in there. The typical 55 Chevy has a much smaller instrument area, and you don't have room for those gauges. So we've got a LED shift indicator here. We've also got high beam LEDs, the turn signals, as well as a check engine light. This one also has cruise control, and we've fabricated the front part of the console to integrate into this existing console that was here. That'll all get wrapped in leather. We're changing the color on this, so it'll probably be a gray tone, and the entire interior will get redone with a different steering wheel as well. The back here, we widened these wheel tubs about 2.5 inches, so it's got a 345/30/19 in there. It's about 15 inches of rubber. We cut the metal, moved it in, welded a new piece in there, did a little finishing work on it, and then the owner also wanted a roll bar put in it, not to be legal for NHRA racing necessarily, but he just wanted a little extra rigidity to the stock chassis. So we've got the roll bar tubes coming down here, which locate just above the chassis in the back. Another product we have here at Schwartz Performance is our billet Optima battery trays. We try to use Optima batteries on all of the projects. Typically we use a deep cycle yellow top battery. This is our battery tray, which is billet, and it clamps on the bottom of the battery so you don't have any interference with the terminals, which are located on the top or the side. Many products that locate the battery have a plate that goes on top with like threaded rods, and it can get into the way of these side terminals. You can get have a short, and also you've got to navigate around these top terminals. By clamping on the bottom, this is more of an OE type of arrangement where you clamp on the bottom of the battery rather over the top of it, and gives a cleaner installation and just less chance for things to happen. You've seen this 72 Chevy C10 pickup before. This is our shop truck. We used it to tool up a customer chassis, which I'll show you in a moment. But now we have our chassis underneath here, which is getting a 540 big block, which has already been installed. We're also doing stack injection on it. The manifold hasn't been converted to EFI yet, but we've got the engine positioning worked out, and then we've got it mocked up with these forge line wheels. In this case, 335/30 18s on all four corners, and these are 18 by 12 inch forge lines, SO3Ps. These again are just for mock-up. We're not quite sure on what style we're going to use on this truck yet. We're one of the top 10 forge line dealers nationwide, so if you need forge lines, talk to us. On the Schwartz G-Machine chassis, we use both Willwood and Bayer brakes on them. In the case of our shop truck, we decided to use Bayers on this one. It's a large 14-inch diameter zinc wash rotor, and then these 6-piston calipers with the Schwartz logo. Pretty sexy, huh? Occasionally I get asked, whose spindles do you use on the Schwartz G-Machine chassis? Well, the answer is there are spindles. We fabricate them, and here they are right here. I also hear, are you guys using Corvette spindles? Well, no, we don't use Corvette spindles because we want our chassis to out-handle a Corvette. And also, the Corvette spindle is designed for a car that weighs roughly 3,000 pounds, and a typical muscle car might weigh 3,600 pounds in the case of like a Chevelle or something like that. Therefore, our spindles, we fabricate them out of steel so they have a higher load carrying capacity, and you'll never have one break. Here's another C10 chassis with the new LT1 Corvette V8 in it. This one's getting a 6L90 transmission. In this case, we're mocking it up with a 6L80. But in any case, it's going to be a great truck. C10s are really popular, and we're really happy that we now have chassis available for the 67 to 72 Chevy C10s. Now this is an interesting forge line wheel. There's no lug nut holes. What's up with that? Well, actually, these are called center lock wheels. A lot of racing series have center lock wheels. Unfortunately, in NASCAR, center lock wheels are not allowed. So you got to have the monkey out there with the impact wrench doing all 5 lug nuts. But in real racing, such as sports car racing, 24-hour Le Mans, that kind of stuff, where you turn both left and right and go up hills and down hills, where skill is actually required to drive a car, well, they use center locking wheels. And the reason for that is when you're doing a 24-hour race, you go through a lot more tires than you would in a 500-mile race. So quick pit stops, they generally have air jacks. They just connect an air line and the car just jumps up on all 4 wheels. They come out there and they've got one center nut, basically like this, to take that off, pop it off, put another one on, one nut. Pretty simple. How this works is this adapter goes on there. This is how we retrofit them to muscle cars. This adapter goes on there, and then we have this precision machined nut that goes on there and acts as a drive pin. So the wheel has recesses that made up with these lug nuts so that it gives it a method of driving, and then this nut goes on the top to tighten it all down. So here's the back side of that wheel, and basically this fits inside there, and that's what allows it to drive without spinning on itself. Incidentally, this is left-handed thread, so this would go on the right-hand side of the car, so as you're driving it's tightening. And the opposite side on the other side. That's a little easier than doing 5 nuts, isn't it? Especially if you have a big impact. So what's going on with this cool 69 Mustang Fastback with the Heights independent rear suspension? I can't tell you. Sorry.
I know where the bush is.
See, sometimes I actually do work around here. Yeah. We've got the A team working on this 52 Ford pickup. It's going to be at Back to the 50s in Minnesota coming up real soon. This is that truck we've been working on for quite some time, where we extended the cab 6 inches so there's a little more room inside of it. This is the 67 Corvette that has our Schwartz G-Machine Corvette chassis in it. We did an LS7 swap on this as well. We're at the stage now where we're going to epoxy prime the whole thing, and then we'll do polyester and start doing our blocking. This 68 Charger we've been working on a little while. As you saw in previous episodes, we had put all new metal on it, with the exception of very little of the original. And it's all wrapped up and ready to go to the owner now, where he can finish it off, do final body work, and build the whole car. This one's getting an old school Hemi, the 426, and those engines were quite large. And when you go to put a modern serpentine drive system in there, there's usually not enough room because they just had a single belt run and everything, little V belt. So we set the engine back a little bit, and then Jason clearanced the firewall so we have a little more room for the engine to take valve covers off and so forth. So that way we have plenty of room to put electric fans and the serpentine drive. So what's going on in here? Well, it's a big empty building, and this is obviously an air compressor. So we need a little more space, so we're expanding, and now we'll be able to do even more work. This is that 82 S10 that's going to be a riot to drive. Right now we're fabricating the headers, and we're also plumbing the dry sump. So this is a -12 AN line, and we're plumbing from the oil pan, which the pump operates off the front of the crankshaft, and the passages actually connect to the oil pan, and then we mounted the dry sump tank in the bed of the truck. The headers are 2-inch tubes, and then we have a merge collector, and I'll show you those in a second. This is a merge collector that we're using on fabricating these headers. These came from Stainless Works. And basically they have a merge cone where all 4 tubes go down into a smaller diameter and then back to a larger, in this case 3-inch for our 3-inch exhaust. This is 2.5. And what that does is create a Venturi effect and actually help scavenge the cylinders. And then if you look inside that collector, there's actually a merge cone inside there, and that also enhances flow and horsepower. This 75 Trans Am is a complete project that we've been looking at the last several months. It's now finished up. We're just doing the final tweaks on it, and it's destined to go to its owner here shortly. We'll have the car back in late July at the Carcraft Summer Nationals in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at State Fair Park. Come up there and see us. This car will be our Pro Builder shootout car, and we would appreciate your votes. Under the hood we have a 455 Pontiac engine with Kaufman D-port aluminum heads and electronic fuel injection. We had to do some fabrication to fit the shaker hood on top of that Victor intake manifold. But it turned out really good, and lots of torque out of this Pontiac engine, and runs really nice. The exterior of this 75 Trans Am is fairly stock looking, but obviously underneath the full Schwartz G-Machine chassis, as well as the 455 Pontiac fuel injected engine, we also have a really nice oil pan with built-in baffling for oil control while cornering. And then the interior has a diamond stitched interior, a full custom interior in leather with really nice custom carpeting as well. And the dash, although it looks like a 75 Trans Am dash, is completely completely made from scratch with the spot polished stainless steel and aftermarket gauges. It also has a twist machine paddle shifter.